There was a gripping article that was published in the October issue of Harper's Magazine by a New York Times reporter, Christopher Hedges. And he described, he was over there in Israel, and he described a conflict between Israeli soldiers and Palestinian children. He described how nearly every afternoon around 4 o'clock, that is when school lets out, at the outskirts of the Khan Yunis refugee camp for Palestinians, a voice on a loudspeaker is heard spewing out obscene insults in Arabic, calling out, "Come on, dogs. Come on, sons of wars." To his astonishment, this reporter, Hedges, discovered that the loudspeakers were mounted on armored Israeli vehicles parked just outside the Palestinian camp. So these Israelis, at the instigation of their rabbis, are spewing out insults against the Palestinian people in the presence of these Palestinian children. The article continues. Soon after, riled up by the invectives, young Palestinian boys would dash toward the armored vehicles and begin throwing rocks at the soldiers. Then the soldiers would open fire. Here's how Hedges described one bloody scene. A percussion grenade explodes. The boys, most no more than 10 or 11 years old, scatter, running clumsily across the heavy sand. Later in the hospital, I will see, this is Hedges, I will see the destruction. The stomachs ripped out, the gaping holes in limbs and torsos. That this is a deliberate provocation aimed at creating an unstable atmosphere within Israel and an excuse for their military operations against the Palestinians. They don't want peace there. Ariel Sharon, who himself is a butcher and has been charged with war crimes in that war against Lebanon, Ariel Sharon almost had a fit when President Bush said he wanted the Palestinians to have a state of their own. And that's when all the trouble began. Yes, there is terrorism on the part of the Arabs. But it's nothing compared to the retaliation of the Israelis with their gunship helicopters, their rockets, and they tell Arafat, "You must stop these suicide bombers." And then they proceed to blow up Arafat's police stations. Well, how is he going to stop the terrorist if his own police stations are being destroyed by rockets and helicopter gunships? Even Arafat himself is a virtual prisoner of his own quarters until they destroyed them. They want to kill Arafat. They don't want peace. They don't want any peace treaties. This is what they want. They don't want a Palestinian state. That would be a buffer state to their expansion. According to the Talmud, the God of the Gentiles is Satan. And that's why Gentiles persecute the Jews, because we worship Satan. And the Talmud commands pious Jews to revile Gentiles And the laws of the Talmud are designed to inculcate a hatred of Gentiles. This is brought out by Mr. Shahak himself on page 92. The paragraph heading is entitled Abuse. He says, under this heading, I would like to discuss examples of Talmudic laws whose most important effect is to inculcate an attitude of scorn and hatred toward Gentiles. And on 97, he says, Judaism, and that is the religion of the Jews today, is imbued with a very deep hatred toward Christianity. You know, it's interesting, the leaders in our Senate trying to enact hate laws, supposedly to do away with hate, are the Jewish senators and congressmen. And yet their own religion inculcates hatred toward everybody but Jews.